Did you know that the animals most people spend years saving up for are actually the ones quietly killing their dream of self-sufficiency? Yeah. The big stuff. The cattle, the horses, the sprawling pastures. None of that is what gets a real homestead running. What actually works is smaller, cheaper, faster, and honestly, way more exciting. And today I'm going to show you exactly which 5 animals can make you both self-sufficient and profitable on just 1 acre of land. Not 10, not 5, 1 acre. Let's get into it. Before we go any further, if you're serious about building a life where the land actually works for you, hit that subscribe button right now. Because every single week we break down real, practical homesteading strategies that nobody else is talking about. You don't want to miss what's coming. All right, now, let's talk animals. Here's the thing that took me a while to understand, and I wish someone had just sat me down and said this from the very beginning. Self-sufficiency and profitability are not 2 separate goals. A lot of people treat them like they are. Like you either build a homestead to feed your family, or you build a farm to make money. But that thinking is what keeps so many good, hard-working people stuck on small margins and big feed bills. The truth? The right animals do both. They feed your family and they put money back in your pocket. And the ones that do it best are not the ones you'd expect. Most people start dreaming about cattle. I get it. There's something romantic about a cow grazing in a field, but here's the cold, hard math nobody tells you. 1 cow on 1 acre, after hay costs, vet bills, and butcher fees might net you a few $100s. Maybe that same acre, managed differently with the right animals, can bring in $10, $15, even $20,000 a year. Same land, completely different outcomes, so let's stop dreaming and start building. Starting with the animal that almost every successful small-scale homestead runs on first, chickens. I know. You've heard it 1,000 times, but stay with me because most people are not running their chickens the way they should be. Chickens are the foundation animal of any serious homestead, and there's a reason for that. They are the most forgiving, most versatile, most immediately rewarding creature you can put on your land. And when you do it right, they pay you back every single week without fail. Here's how simple it is. 2 hens per person in your household. That's all the math you need for eggs. For a family of 5, 10 hens means at least 1 egg per person every single day. And if you're selling? A flock of just 100 hens laying 250 to 280 eggs a year, each selling direct at $5 to $8 a dozen, you're looking at $10,000 to $15,000 a year. From chickens. The boring animal. But here's what makes chickens truly powerful on a small property. They don't just produce, they work. They forage. They eat kitchen scraps, garden waste, bugs, grubs, things you'd otherwise throw away. If you let them free range properly, you can cut your feed costs nearly in half. And they keep your soil healthy with their manure while clearing pests that would otherwise destroy your garden. They are not just livestock, they are a functioning part of your whole land system. Now add a rooster to the mix and suddenly you're not just collecting eggs, you're growing your flock. You're hatching new birds. You're producing meat without having to go buy chicks every season. That rooster changes the whole game. Chickens give you eggs, meat, pest control, and soil fertility, all on a tiny footprint. This is why they're number 1 on every serious homestead list, and this is why they're number 1 on ours. But if you want to push your egg production even further, especially if your land runs wet or your winters hit hard, then ducks are a conversation worth having. Because ducks do something. Chickens don't. They keep laying through cold, wet, miserable weather that would make your hen shut down completely. They are absolute machines in conditions that would break a chicken's rhythm. And duck eggs, they sell for nearly double the price of chicken eggs, especially to bakers and health-conscious buyers who know what they're getting. Duck eggs go for $8 to $12 a dozen in most markets. They're bigger, richer, and in high demand with people who actually care about food quality. Ducks also forage brilliantly. In ideal conditions, they'll find up to 70% of their own food. You're just supplementing the rest. And unlike chickens, they'll eat slugs, snails, and every crawling thing that's destroying your garden beds. They are basically free pest control that also pays you in premium eggs. So whether you go with chickens or ducks, or honestly a mix of both, because they complement each other beautifully. You've got your eggs, your white meat, and your weekly income stream locked in. That's your foundation. Now let's build on it. The next animal on this list is one that almost every land-rich, cash-poor homesteader eventually comes around to: goats. And if you spend any time around them, you already know they are absolutely ridiculous in the best possible way. Escape artists, drama queens, completely endearing, and quietly one of the most productive animals you can keep on a small property. Here's why goats make the list. They give you milk and meat. That's two income streams from one animal, and unlike a cow, which needs far more space, more feed, more hay, more everything, a goat thrives in tight quarters. They graze on brush, weeds, woody shrubs, vines, stuff nothing else will touch. That means your feed costs stay low while your land actually gets cleared and improved at the same time. Goats are doing you a favor just by existing on your property. 4 does, and 1 buck. That's your starting setup. 4 female goats and a male for breeding. That gives you a steady supply of fresh milk year-round when you stagger your breeding cycles right. And goat milk is not just good, it's exceptional. It's higher in protein and butter fat than cow's milk. It's naturally easier to digest. It makes incredible cheese, butter, and soap if you want to go that route. And if you're selling, goat milk moves at $8 to $12 a gallon, and it sells fast to people who can't find it anywhere else. Then when your herd grows too big, and it will grow because that's what goats do, you've got meat. Goat meat is lean, clean, and deeply in demand in ethnic and specialty food markets that most backyard farmers completely ignore. 4 or 5 does with regular kidding can bring in $5,000 to $7,000 a year from kids alone. That's real money from an animal that's living on your worst land, eating the plants you didn't even want. If goats feel like too much of a handful, and yes, their escape artistry is legendary. Sheep are a worthy alternative. They're calmer, easier to manage, and they graze more gently on pasture without obliterating it the way goats sometimes can. The meat quality is excellent. Some breeds produce milk worth using, and if you go with fiber breeds, you add another product line entirely. A small flock of 4 ewes and a ram gives you enough meat to carry your family through the year. They're dependable, they're steady, and they'll make your land look like a proper farm without requiring much from you in return. Pick goats or sheep based on your land, your temperament, and honestly, your fencing budget, but get one of them. Because without a small ruminant on your property, you're missing a core pillar of real self-sufficiency. All right, now we're getting into the part of this list that most people never see coming. The animals that punch so far above their weight class that once you understand the math, you'll wonder why everyone isn't doing this. Let's talk about quail, and I need you to stay with me here because quail looks small and unassuming, and that's exactly why most people walk right past this opportunity. These little birds are a production powerhouse hiding in plain sight. Startup costs are some of the lowest in all of livestock, $3 to $5 per chick. They don't need a barn, they don't need pasture. You can run hundreds of them in stacked cages in a shed, a spare room, or a simple outdoor setup. They are that compact. But here's where it gets wild. Quail start laying eggs at just 6 weeks old. 6 weeks. Chickens take 5 to 6 months, and they're ready for butcher at 8 weeks. 8 weeks from chick to table. That's the fastest turnaround in small-scale livestock, full stop. Each quail produces around 250 eggs per year. And here's the part that makes your jaw drop. Quail eggs sell for $3 to $5 per dozen. In gourmet and specialty markets, sometimes more. You're getting premium prices for a tiny egg that costs almost nothing to produce. On the meat side, dressed quail sells for $5 to $8 per bird. Now run the numbers. 200 quail, which take up less space than a standard chicken coop, can bring in $10,000 or more per year with the right markets. 200 quail, on a footprint most people would use for a tool shed. This is the kind of math that changes how you think about land. And because they're quiet, genuinely quiet, most people won't even know you're running a serious livestock operation next door. Quail are not flashy, but the income is very, very real. Now, I saved the 2 most surprising ones for last. And I say surprising because if I told you right now what they are, some of you might click away thinking I've lost my mind. So I'm asking you to trust me because the numbers don't lie. And the numbers on these next 2 animals are absolutely staggering. Let's start with rabbits because the stat that always stops people in their tracks is this. A single female rabbit, called a doe, can produce 40 to 60 offspring per year. That's over 200 pounds of meat annually from one rabbit that eats mostly hay and forage. Startup costs for rabbits are minimal. Roughly $300 to $500 gets you cages and breeding stock. They don't need pasture. They don't need grain-heavy diets. A little pellet feed, kitchen scraps, and access to hay, and they thrive. Each fryer, that's a young meat rabbit, sells for $30 to $40 live or $8 to $10 per pound dressed. One doe brings in roughly $1,200 a year at optimal output. Scale that to just 8 to 10 does, and you're looking at $10,000 to $12,000 annually. From an operation that fits in most backyards, here's the part that really puts it in perspective. Per acre, rabbits outproduce beef cattle in usable meat. Beef cattle take 18 months to get to harvest weight. Rabbits are ready in 8 to 12 weeks. You're not waiting a year and a half and hemorrhaging feed costs. You're harvesting every couple of months continuously from animals that take up almost no space and cost almost nothing to feed. For self-sufficiency, rabbits are transformative. For profitability, they're elite. And for a family trying to get serious about food security on limited land, they might just be the single best investment you can make. But if you thought rabbits were the dark horse of this list, wait until you hear about number 1. Pigeons. Go ahead. Take a second. I know what you're thinking, but hear me out, because squab, which is what young pigeon meat is called, is a delicacy. It sells for $20 to $30 per bird in gourmet restaurants, ethnic markets, and specialty food circles. This is not street pigeon money. This is high-end, sought-after, hard-to-find premium protein, and almost nobody is producing it. Here's the operation. A breeding pair of pigeons costs $50 to $100. They pair for life, meaning you set them up once and they keep working. Each pair raises 12 to 15 squabs a year with almost zero intervention. They do the incubating themselves. They feed their young themselves. They raise the whole cycle without you needing to lift a finger beyond feeding and basic care. At $20 to $30 per squab, that's $300 to $450 of profit from a single breeding pair every single year. Now scale it. 20 breeding pairs, which take up less space than a chicken coop, can bring in $6,000 to $9,000 a year from birds that eat mostly seeds, forage, and whatever scraps you toss them. No grain-heavy diet, no expensive infrastructure, no complicated husbandry. Pigeons are the most self-sufficient livestock you can raise, and they produce one of the highest value products per square foot of any animal on this list. The reason nobody talks about this is simple. It's so far outside what most people think of as farm animals that they never look into it. But the people who do, they're quietly making serious money while everyone else is fighting over chicken egg prices at the farmer's market. So let's bring this all together, because I want you to walk away from this video with something real. 1 acre, 5 animals. Here's your self-sufficient, profitable homestead blueprint. Chickens or ducks give you your daily eggs, your white meat, your pest control, and your first income stream. This is your weekly cash flow animal. Get them first. Goats or sheep give you milk, red meat, land clearing, and a second major income stream. This is your family-feeding, land-improving workhorse. They make your property more productive just by being on it. Quail give you a high-volume, low-cost, high-margin egg and meat operation that most of your competition doesn't even know exists. Set it up in a shed and let it print money quietly in the background. Rabbits give you the fastest, most land-efficient meat production you can achieve on 1 acre. They feed your family through every season and outproduce cattle on a fraction of the space and cost. Pigeons give you a hands-off, high-value squab operation that taps into a premium market almost nobody in your area is serving. Start small, scale slowly, and watch what happens. You do not need 10 acres. You do not need a massive herd. You do not need to go into debt buying livestock you can't sustain. You need the right animals in the right numbers working together on the same piece of land. That's it. That's the whole secret. Now here's what I want you to really hold on to, because this is the thing that separates people who actually build something lasting from people who stay in the planning phase forever. Every single one of these animals can be started small. You don't launch with all 5 at once. You start with 1, you learn it, you get comfortable. Then you add the next. And each step brings you closer, not just to growing your own food, but to owning a piece of land that actually works for you, year-round, rain or shine. Self-sufficiency is not a destination you arrive at one day. It's something you build, one animal, one season, one decision at a time. And every single step forward, whether that's your first 10 hens or your first rabbit cage, is a step toward a life that most people only ever dream about. You're not here to just dream about it. You're here to build it. So tell me, which of these 5 animals are you starting with? Or if you're already out there running a setup, drop it in the comments. What animal has made the biggest difference on your land? I want to know. I genuinely read every single comment on this channel, and some of the best ideas and conversations I've had have come straight from you all in that section down below. And one last thing before you go. If this video gave you even one idea that felt like it could actually change something for you, do me a favor and share it with someone who's trying to figure this out. Not for me, for them. Because sometimes all it takes is the right information landing in front of the right person at the right time. Be that person for someone else. Until next time, keep building, keep growing, and take care of your land because your land will take care of you. See you in the next one.